Welcome everyone, KD here with part 2 of my Unreal Engine 4 tutorial how you can create a simple player character with different skins you can change in the game itself, customization options, how to add animations and have some simple movements. Last time in part 1, link will be in the description, I showed you how we can prepare everything, how we can create our blueprint for our play character, and how we can tell the game that this is our play character with the game mode. Today, you see, we can absolutely do nothing with our guy we loaded here. I can't move him around, I can't move the camera or anything like that, and that's what we do today. I will show you how you can make a third-person camera, you can move around, and how you can move around your character. So let's go out of the editor. So first thing we have to do is we go under edit to our project settings. We open this up. And here under input, we can under bindings define some controls. So action mapping we for now can ignore. We go under axis mapping and add one here. Our first one we call move forward. We have caps lock on, move forward. And now we can add here our key bindings. The first key is W for forward, and then we can add here by pressing this plus button more keys. The second one will be S on our keyboard, and we can even add more. So for W we go forward, so the scale is +1. With S we go backwards, so the scale should be -1. And we can even add more keys. For this we can, as example, choose up on the keyboard, also as so a same function as W to move forward. But I will for now only use W, S and A and D. So we go press on this plus button next to axis mapping, and the next one I call move right. Here I take the D on the keyboard, add a new one, and this one will be A on the keyboard. Where's it? Here, missed it. And D is moving to the right, so it's +1, and A is move to the left, so here we have -1. We add another command. This one will be for the camera, and we call this turn. This time the camera we want to move with the mouse, so for turning we want the x-axis for the mouse, so we select that. and we make a last command here, and we call this look up, or look up and down. Look up is enough to understand what we want to. This is again with the mouse, but this time the other axis. So now we need more commands than this. This is just for moving. We also need different commands like for zooming in, zooming out, and so on. You can do this in action mapping. You can add here a command and call it, and then like before you can say which as example I won't show you how to, I won't add a jump function, but just as example, jump and then spacebar. So this is not necessary because you can get from your player character the spacebar directly. So when is this useful? One, if you have very complex controls with many combinations, instead of searching for the spacebar, you can search for jump, and that makes you maybe easier to remember. If you don't remember the keys used for your actions, you can just press in the action itself. Another use is if you want a combination of keys like shift space, control space, or alt space, and so on. This one here is very so you have to do it in action mapping. You can't do it by asking the key combinations directly in the player character. So we go to our player character. I've already opened it. So here's our report with our guy. We are going into the event graph, and all the stuff we have here we delete, we don't need. So we make our own events. So press the right mouse button so we are in here, and now first the camera movements, turn, you just press in turn, and then you see here axis event, turn, that's what we want. And this is extremely simple because the blueprint gives us directly the command we want. Just have to press in the right command, and that's add control yaw input. The only thing we have to do is the axis value combined to this value here, and that's everything. Now we add a second input, second event, and that's our look up event. It's similar, simple as before. We give in the add control, and for this one we take the pitch input. Now when we compile and save this, play it, you will see our guy turns, but not our camera. I can't look up and down. That's because we have to tell our spring arm that he is also controlled by our by the player's input, and for that we need this button here on the camera settings, use pound control rotation. If that, we compile again, and I will show you with playing. Now I can completely move the camera up and down. So now let's stay with the camera before we go on with the character movements. Now we want to zoom, and for that we create another event with our mouse wheel. You need for that mouse wheel down and mouse wheel up. That's how we zoom, or that's how we normally zoom. So let's bring in these two events. Like I said, if you want to, you can put them into action in the action input selection. You can also make this event, but you can also just get them like this. So when you get buttons here, you get always pressed and released. So do you want an action when you press the button or when you release the button? And always choose. So when we go up with the mouse wheel, we want to zoom out. When we go down with the mouse wheel, we want to zoom in. For zooming our camera, we of course need our spring and this target arm length here. But this 300, we want to change this one. So we get this in, you can just grab it and put it in your event graph. And from here, we can get our target arm length. First we get it, and that's the default value 300. Then we get a plus float and we get a minus float. Plus because we want to add length to the target to the spring arm, and minus because we want to take the length away. So here, zoom out, zoom in. One is a little bit too less. We want quite a bit of sensitivity. That's something we have to check. Let's try 20 first. Then what we need now is compare float function here. We go from pressed to here, and the same thing we can get from here. Compare float. Now here, compare with. Why do I do that? Because we want to limit it. We don't want that the player can just forever zoom out or forever zoom in. There has to be a limit. For the minus, can take the limit 0. Maybe that's too close to the character. We can also take a smaller number than 300, maybe 50 or so. Let's first try with 0. And here you have you have to know for yourself how far you want to go away. Maybe 1000, or maybe that's too much. So now with that, we want to not from here, sorry, we get our spring arm and we want to define our target arm length. So this time we don't get the arm length, we set it. And this is our target arm length we got, plus our 20 we bring in here. But when only when do we change it? When, as long as it is less than 1000. If this is bigger than 1000, then we don't want this to change. So as long as the result of our arm length plus 20 is less than 1000, we change our zoom. If it's over 1000, nothing will happen. We can push up the mouse wheel as much as we want to, nothing will happen. We do something similar down here. We get again our target arm length with set. Here again, this is our result we want, the target arm length minus 20, and this time only if it's bigger than 0. And that's actually all we need for that. Now we can compile this. Let's save. Be sure. Let's go play. Our camera movements still work. And I can now zoom in and zoom out. However, I just see I made a little mistake. I kind of make this mistake often. Mouse wheel up is if you move the mouse wheel away from you, and mouse wheel, no, it's exactly the opposite. No, it's right. But anyway, you want to change this to, I mean, it was reversed when I tested it. I'm sorry about that. So when I test it now, when I move the mouse against me, we zoom out. When I move the mouse wheel away from me, we zoom in. And that's all we do now for the camera. Of course, there are different options. You also can set the camera that it only moves when you press down a mouse button. Then you have to create this inputs a little bit differently, but it's not that complicated. So how we have it here now, we just move the mouse and our character and our camera moves around. Depends on the game you want to. If you want only by pressing the button, then you have this is not. Then you have to create the right input here. So that's so much to camera control. Now we also want our character to move, and for that we have our forward and right commands. We get in now. Right mouse, move forward. Let's get this event, and let's get move right also. And for this here, we need our from our control from our pawn, we need the command get control rotation. Just press in control rotation and it will come up. We press break rotation because the rotation can be in every axis, so we break this down because we only need the yaw, the z axis. What we also need is get forward vector. It's another function, and what we do here is also here we have again the different axes, so we have to break this down. Make rotator, and we combine these two together. Then here we also need the right vector, get right vector, and we can also put this in here. That's for turning right. And then finally we need command that also is already saved in the blueprint, add movement input. So Unreal Engine makes it really easy with these commands, with the get forward vector, get right vector, and so on, get the control rotation. If you work in Blueprint, it's actually quite simple. You just have to know how these movements are called. So this one here, we put yellow to yellow, of course. So we put them together, the return value to world direction. And here we need the green one, green to green, axis value to scale value, and that's everything we need. We copy this one here, this command, and do the same thing down here. Yellow to yellow, green to green. It's not that difficult, and that's all we need for our movement. We compile and save. Then we play, and we see that our guy moves around in our T pose. So now, depending on how your control is, maybe you want to go like this, forward, backwards, driving left, right, while always looking in the same direction. Or what you also can do is pressing here under the components, the character movement. Here Unreal Engine has a lot saved for your character. How fast do you want to jump, as example? How fast is your acceleration, and so on, and you can select your default land movements. Is it walking, is it running, and so on. Here is the walking speed, max walk speed, max walk, no, speed, crouch, everything in here is already set. So if you want to get further than that, putting in crouching, putting in a sprint option, and so on, you can select here already the speeds and everything else. Here is swimming, even what is flying, if you jump up and then fall down again, or if you jump down something. Here is the speed, how much you fly, and so on and so forth. Here are physical interactions and so on. I won't go into detail here. The only thing I want to show you is here under character movement rotation settings. Let's move this out. And here we have this orient rotation movement. If we select this and go back in our editor, if I move now right, our character moves to the right. If I put in left, character moves to the left. If I press back, he tries at least to move backwards. So now, why doesn't he move completely in these directions? So now I have to find it again. It's because we limited the rotation rate. It's right now on 360. Sadly, that doesn't mean 360 degree. It should be a lot higher. I think it's around, what I tested, around 1500 if you want to rotate completely around. So yeah, you don't see it, but now he really faces the direction you want to move to. Again, this is depending on the game you create. Let's not fall down the edge, that was close. This is depending on the game you want to create. Maybe you want him to face the direction you want to move in, or maybe you want to face him always the same direction. That's depending on you. Now you know how you can do it. This is actually all I want to show you here. Like I said, these are very simple movements. There is not much. This is just really the camera. We can move the camera, we can zoom in and zoom out, and we can move our character forward and to the sides. Of course, there's jumping, crouching. If you want sprinting, you can difference between turn left and right and drive left and right, and so on and so on. From this one here, you can build up more movements. This is really only the basic I want to show you, and that's everything for now. So in part 3, I will show you how you can select the skin or change the skin if you want to, and I will also add animations to it. So thank you for watching, see you in part 3.